Let's do a quick Valley. We'll make it quick. Okay. Oh, Miss T says OC dropped their trader. I guess Gretchen is back. Oof. Oh, Patty says yes, the Valley. Okay. All right, you guys. Let's talk about the Valley. All right. Wow, my face got really big there. Okay. Let's talk about the Valley. All right. Let's first talk about Janet and Jason. I think it's a collective decision that Janet is the absolute worst. I agree with everything that Jasmine said, that she gives Karen energy, that she is a vibe killer, and that she's a shitty person, friend, all this, that, and the third. To me, Janet is so annoying because she says things like, I'm just so concerned about you, right? And like, what's going on with Danny's drinking and blah, 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 blah. She says these very inflammatory things as if they are the truth. And then she expects everybody to fall in line with that. But then her and her husband are weak hypocrites. So they think that they are allowed to insinuate that Danny has a drinking problem, that Danny has an addiction problem, that Nia is enabling him and is, sort of, covering for him because he's a drunk. And she's like, oh, I think she goes to Al-Anon. Like, they think that they can go out and say all these very hurtful things about somebody's marriage and people's characters, but the moment it happens to them, they lose their GD minds and cannot handle it. So the fact that Zach told Kristen, and Jasmine also heard, that allegedly Jason takes his ring off when he's out dipping it and doing it with his friends at the club, trying to pick up a little bit of strange, all of a sudden they lose their minds. First, she pretends, oh, that's so funny. I already know about that. Like, oh, that's it. No big deal. But in the next episode, she's losing her mind, and then Jason loses his mind. When 2 episodes before that, didn't Jason go straight up to Danny and be like, you need to take responsibility for your drinking and you need to do this and the way you did this and blah, 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 like totally came at him. And Danny held it together like a real G, never raised his voice, never got out of pocket, and was just like, no, I'm good. Are you my friend or are you being a lawyer? Like, what's up? But when Jasmine tries to have a similar conversation with Jason and Janet at the beach, Jason finally finds his little bit of manhood and is like yelling and screaming at Jasmine off the top of his head like a freaking chicken with its head cut off. And then Janet's going around, Jasmine's this, she's that, she's lying, she's making it up, and blah, 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 and losing her GD mind. When didn't Nia just go around to everybody, be like, look, if you have an issue with me and my husband, just talk to us about it. You don't have to wait till we leave the room. Like, you can just talk to us like adults. So the way that Nia and Danny handled Janet and Jason trying to come for their character, for their marriage, for their issues and outing them, versus how Janet and Jason handle it are apples to oranges. And that tells you everything you need to know about these people. They cannot handle the smoke. Do I believe the rumor? I personally do. I clocked that weeks ago when we were talking about the Valley. I said, I think, and then again, this is just my opinion, I think Jason does have a double life. I think he placates to Janet. He plays like he is this submissive whip boy to her, but I think that he is dipping it and doing it, and he has a whole different life and a whole different side to him. And I think that's what Jasmine and Zach were alluding to when Jasmine was like, yeah, you have this whole group of friends that no longer rock with you because they don't like Janet. And they told us how you go out and you take your wedding ring off. I think he does have a whole other life. Now, do I think he is picking up just women? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not putting that out there. I'm not saying it's not. Again, I don't think that's a bad thing. So when I say that, I'm not trying to be dirty or malicious or nasty or rude, none of those nasty things at all. I think if we talk more about those things, the more people feel safe to talk about it, the more normalized it is. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like she's like, these are my friends or my family. Jasmine is I guess she's bisexual. She was on The Bachelor looking for a man, but then she's been with a woman for 4 years. So I don't know if she was on The Bachelor just for some clout because she wanted to be on TV and she really is into men, or is she just bisexual? I don't know. You know what the kids are doing these days, pansexual, transsexual, all over the place. Who knows? Who cares? Just be safe and consensual. You do what you want to do. You live your life how you want to live it. So it seemed to me it was sort of like, I don't know. Anyway, that's a tangent. Do I think that Jason cheats on Janet or has cheated on her or wants to cheat on her? In my opinion, yes, I do. Because I really think he's living a double life. Now, did you guys know that Jason's black? I know, that was a hard left. Jason's black. His mom is black and his dad is Asian. Okay, Jason, I see you. We see each other. Anyway, just want to throw that out there. But yeah, so the way that these two couples handled similar situations of people asking questions about their marriage and their character was apples to oranges. And that just showed you everything you really needed to know. Okay. To me, I think in Janet's head, I agree with Kristen. I think Janet was a stalker. I think Janet was a fan of the show. And I think she did everything she could to infiltrate that Vanderpump Rules crew. And I think in Janet's head, she is Stassi. Brittany is Kristen. Brittany is Katie Maloney. And Michelle is the Kristen Doty from Vanderpump Rules. You're a Delulu, Janet. You're not the Stassi of the show. Like, you're not. You're cooking for Cocoa Puffs. And Jasmine even said, she's like, yeah, once Jasmine and Zach said once Janet started hanging out with like Katie Maloney a little bit more, she invited Ariana over, she moved to the Valley, you know, she was more friends with like Sheen and all them. She stopped inviting Zach and she stopped inviting Jasmine over to her house for stuff. And Jasmine would be like, oh, heard you guys are doing game night and dinner. Like, why am I not going to invite me? And you were such good friends. Now all of a sudden you're hanging out with these, you know, higher up people, cooler people, more famous people. Now all of a sudden I'm not being invited to stuff. Jasmine, this is for you, sweetheart. These people are not your friends. Don't get it twisted. Janet does not like you. Janet tolerated you because you were friends with her husband, Jason. Janet thought she could control you because you were very people-pleasy to her, like a lot of people are to Janet. That's why Janet lost her mind when you were talking about the rumor about Jason taking his ring off and when you didn't allow her to have the narrative out there around the whole thing. Because when they were all trying to talk at the beach, to me, Jasmine was a little bit too kind to Janet. If you ask me to explain myself or to explain a story, and then when I'm trying to speak, you continuously cut me off, you're going to piss me off. Okay? You're going to piss me off. That is so disrespectful and so manipulative. Janet was trying to control the narrative and control what Jasmine was saying, what she was saying, and how she was saying it. That would have pissed me off too. But Jasmine, these people are not your friends. Stop hanging out with them. You don't want to be the black woman. Remember that story that went around? There's that infamous photo where it's like one black girl, one black woman, and it's all rest of the white women. I think it's like in Texas. And the next morning, the black woman was found unalived somewhere or missing somewhere. That is the vibes I'm getting. Jasmine, stop going into the woods with these people. Stop going to beach houses with these people. These people are not your friends. I am not making it about race itself. I'm just talking about in the context of this. They don't like you. None of these people are your friends except for Zach. Other than that, I don't know what you're doing, girl. I don't know what you're doing on there. Now, up until Jasmine, and this is funny, in the beginning, I was like, oh, I want Jasmine to talk more. I want Jasmine and Zach to talk more. I want them to have more of a storyline. But then this season, as Jasmine was talking more, I was like, okay, Jasmine, you don't need to talk. I think her whole storyline with Danny Darko, that's weird and bizarre to me. I don't know why she kept needing an apology. I don't know why she kept bringing it up. if you have trauma around your sexuality and your identity, then you need to go to therapy and deal with it. But you can't keep making it other people's problems when they are not doing anything to you about that. Danny getting blackout drunk and saying, go get daddy a beer. First of all, why did you go get him a drink? If I'm at a bar and my friend is blackout drunk and said to me, go get daddy a drink, I would be like, no, go get yourself some water. So the fact that you went to go get daddy a drink is more on you than anybody else. I think Danny was blackout drunk. I don't think he knew who he was talking to. I don't think it had anything to do with the fact that Melissa and Jasmine are in a lesbian relationship. It had nothing to do with that. He was wasted. I think he would have said that to a tree. And for her to then milk it, and was it about her trauma being in a same-sex relationship, or was it for storyline? Was it Janet in her ear? I don't know what the hell it was for, but it was whack as hell. He was like, look, I was blackout. I said something inappropriate and I'm sorry. Done. Like, girl, enough. So I kind of wanted Jasmine to stop talking. But now that she stood up to Janet and is really giving it to her, if she continues to have her own voice and her own storyline, then I do want her to talk more. Now, when it comes to her sidekick, Zach, same thing, Zach. Janet doesn't like you. And guess what? Neither does Brittany. Because again, I think people like Janet and I think people like Brittany, they see gay people and they see Black people as accessories, not as true friends. That's just how I personally feel. Brittany and Jax, they were going to have the homophobic pastor do their marriage. That speaks volumes. Brittany's made a very racist comment about Faith, when Jax was for the frickin' streets. I don't know why she's so mad at Faith for sleeping with Jax. Everybody was sleeping with Jax. Called her nappy header or something like that. So Brittany and Janet, to me, are cut from the same cloth. That's why they're so close, and that's why they're so similar. Janet is mean and is a Karen. Brittany is mean and a Karen. The only difference is that Brittany has that weird voice, that Kentucky voice, so you don't take her seriously, and because of Brittany's weight. And I'm not fat shaming her or body shaming her by any means. I'm just saying in our society, certain body types are deemed as threatening or non-threatening. And I think when you have a non-threatening body type paired with a voice that people don't take seriously, you get away with a lot more bad things because nobody takes it that seriously, right? So there is that on that. So if I'm Zach, if I'm Jasmine, these women are not your friends. They don't really like you. Britt throws you under the bus. She talks about you like a dog. So does Janet. To me, they're from that same Karen energy world. I would not mess with that in a heartbeat. Okay. Brittany and Jax. Again, hypocrites. Brittany, I'm looking at you. So let's go back to the Faith. Brittany got so mad at Faith because allegedly Brittany and Faith were friends, but like, were they really? And she got with Jax when, again, Jax is for the street. They're just dating. They're not married. And he's out there dipping into it. But then Brittany goes, while she is still married to Jax, knowing that it's probably a rule. Yeah, we're separated. We're doing whatever, but probably don't sleep with my friend. Brittany then goes and sleeps with his friend Julian, and not just his friend Julian, but Lala's ex-man. Maybe not boyfriend, but they were sleeping together and kicking it. So Brittany does that to her friend Lala, sleeps with her, whatever, boo thing, buddy, whatever you want to call it, and Jax's friend. And we're supposed to have sympathy for Brittany and not call her out for that dirty nastiness. I don't care if you're Jax or not. Sleeping with your husband's friend, separated or not, is dirty. Sleeping with your so-called friends, hookup, buddy, sex boy, whatever you want to call it, without telling her. She told everybody else. All the other girls knew. Lala found out from the hairdresser that Brittany was busting it open for Julian, who Lala used to bust it open from. but somehow Brittany gets a pass. Miss me with all this. So nothing but big hypocrites. Also, they're giving grifters and liars. I don't believe this whole mortgage storyline. I think that Jax and Brittany are so desperate to stay relevant for the show because if anything these episodes have shown us is that we actually don't need Jax and Brittany for the show. Especially not Jax. Jax could just never come back and we wouldn't miss a beat. Him doing his little video FaceTimes from rehab, we didn't need that nonsense. Him, spying on Brittany, we didn't need that nonsense. This whole mortgage stuff doesn't make any sense. I'm very confused. Are Jax and Brittany like multi-millionaires? They're saying how they're paying $18,000 for their mortgage because of Jax's taxes. Then they owed over $100K in back mortgage because he stopped paying the mortgage. Then the mortgage was allegedly in foreclosure. He's lying and saying their podcast makes $1 million a year. That's a lie. Your podcast does not make $1 million a year. I promise you that. You have 123 reviews on Apple Podcast. You ain't making $1 million a year. That's just my personal opinion. I think that's a lie. She's paying for all of these Airbnbs and all this stuff. Like how, but fast forward, Brittany and her son, they're still in the house. They're magically out of foreclosure. Everything is fine now. How? How did you have over $100,000 in debt from the mortgage saying that you're in foreclosure? Then he's signing a lease on another apartment. You have this multi-month lease with an Airbnb and she says she couldn't get out of it, which again, I'm pretty sure you can get out of an Airbnb contract pretty easily. So again, liar. All this stuff. Where are they getting all this money from? I don't believe all of their drama is the truth. I just don't believe it. You're telling me they magically got out over $100K in mortgage debt. He's paying for $1,000 a day rehab that he's in for 30 days. So that's $30,000 for rehab, over $100K in back K of a mortgage. And then on top of that, you're saying going forward, your mortgage is like over $18,000 and you're paying for Airbnbs that are just sitting empty. And then he's like, none of this is making sense. Something isn't making sense. But she's still happily in the house now. What? Get out of here. None of that is making sense. Kristen and Luke, I have no notes. I love them. Jesse and Michelle. Jesse and Michelle were barely in the last 2 episodes, and I'm fine with that. I still can't believe that the whole rumor, the rumors and the nastiness, the whole rumor about Michelle sleeping with a billionaire. At first, I thought it was $2,000 a night, but apparently it was only $1,500. She never really denied it. She was like, why would you say that about the mother of your child? I am the mother of your child. You're threatening me, Jessie. She talks so slow and weird. But what she did say was, well, Jessie, you've gotten paid too. I could show them your payments. So they both are paid for play, apparently. Because I'm confused. If somebody said to me, Candy, I heard you're sleeping with a billionaire for $50 for five grand a night. Not $5,000, $50,000 for $50,000 a night. I would be like, no, that's not true. I would never do that. I have nothing against it. If that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. But it's personally, I couldn't do that. My response wouldn't be, oh, well, you got paid too. I'm going to show them your deposits too. That's what she said. Remember, she said, you've gotten paid too. And then she talked about the gay guy giving them like money for the daughter and the wedding and all this stuff and the birthdays. And he was like, this is just a friend giving us, gifts or whatever. Look, Jax and Jesse, Tom and Tom, they've already talked about being male models in the industry. There's a lot of exploitation that goes on there. Me Too doesn't just happen to women. So who knows what has happened to these people. don't forget on Vanderpump Rules, there was the gay guy at the Miami thing who was saying how Jax would do stuff to stay at his place for free and for money. Again, that's not a judgment on any of it, on sexuality, on sex work, whatever the case may be, whatever it is. And also, a lot of people are exploited and taken advantage of too, not just women, but it happens to men too. So, would I be surprised if Jesse was kind of, strange for a little change? No, not at all. Would I be surprised if Michelle was busting it open for some little change? No, because it was never a true denial. It was more of like, well, you did it too. How dare you say that about me? I'm the mother of your child. Also, when Jesse now talks about it, he's like, well, it's a rumor I heard and I shouldn't have repeated it. But even his energy is like, yeah, it happened, but I don't want to be on record saying that in case my daughter sees this. That's the energy he gives. You know what I mean? So there's that. Other than that, they're whatever. Jesse is sad. I don't think he wants Michelle back necessarily, but I do think he wants revenge on her. But I think he would take her back. Michelle, her boyfriend Aaron has the craziest eyes I've ever seen in my life. They're like soulless. He doesn't blink. He's like, Michelle, Jesse, is he texting you? No, Jesse, I wasn't cheating, but I was all up in her honey pot. I sell honey. Like, just weird, bizarre stuff. Patty says Brittany has brand deals. I'm sure that's the thing. I'm sure that they have income. I'm sure they make money from the show. They're on the show. They do make money from the podcast. They do have brand deals. They pop up on, he was on House of Villains and little stuff. Of course. But for the amount of money that they're talking about and for this situation to be the way they're saying the situation is, something just isn't adding up. Because he said, oh, he paid it on in the after show. He said he paid off all the mortgage while he was in rehab. But then he said he gave the RSS feed of the $1 million a year podcast to Brittany. Then Brittany said, no, he hasn't signed it off yet. He's being very difficult. Like, they're just liars, and they're just having contradictory stories about everything. But something about it, to me, I just felt like Brittany and Jax knew they had to do something to stay relevant for the show. They needed some drama because the show, quite frankly, doesn't really need them. Like, if Jax didn't come back, would we miss him? Miss what? A rage text? The show is still going on. I do wish the show was more like season 1. I enjoyed season 1 more. Season 2 has gotten a little bit dark, a little bit dreary, but it is what it is. Okay. Nia and Danny, I love them. I think Nia handled the women flawlessly. She was like, look, you want to call me fake? Well, I love gratitude because this is what happened. And this was the other thing I was going to say. Another reason why Brittany is the biggest hypocrite on this freaking planet. So Brittany is going off and losing her mind, and Janet's jumping in because Nia said, as we all know, Nia was like, oh, Danny's really tired. He's napping. He's sleeping upstairs when they were wherever they went. And they're like, why can't you just say he's drunk? Why can't you just say he was drinking? I'm showing everything. Excuse me, Brittany. Wasn't your entire storyline last season was that you hated Jax because he was telling everybody that you were drinking and that you were a drunk, and he was calling out your piss poor drinking habits? And you were like, you don't protect me. You trying to make me look bad. You're so mad at me. That was literally your entire storyline last season, was how your husband did not have your back, and he wanted everyone to make you look bad in front of everyone and call you a drunk and you're drinking. How you had to pull over and puke because you were drinking so much. How you have ulcers in your stomach and your doctor told you to stop drinking. How we saw your drinking on the show. So make it make sense how your entire storyline for season 1 was that your husband was trying to make you look bad because he was telling everybody about how much you were drinking. But yet, you want to crucify Nia because she's not. How does that make any sense? So the fact that Nia, and I don't even think Nia was protecting Danny. I don't even think it occurred to her. Like, if I'm at dinner and my husband's upstairs, everyone's been drinking. It's a given everyone's been drinking. He worked and then he drove and then he's really tired. I went up and he's like sleepy. I would be like, oh, I was like, oh, he's passed out upstairs. He's passed out. He's really tired. He's going to sleep it off, whatever the case may be. And I would just keep it moving. Who in their right mind would be like, oh my God, my husband is so wasted and so drunk and blah, blah. He's just, who would do that? It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even sound right. So you're pissed at Nia for being normal, having a healthy marriage, and actually just not even having her husband's back, but again, just being a normal person, because you would just be like, oh, Danny's passed out upstairs. He's really tired. He's sleeping. That's what I would say. Even if he was blackout drunk, I'd be like, oh, he's sleeping upstairs. You wouldn't say that. So somehow you want to call Nia fake. You want to say she's protecting her husband for doing everything you said you wanted your own husband to do for you last season. How does that make any sense? You're the biggest hypocrite in the world. And Janet and Brittany, to me, and low-key Michelle, are so jealous of Nia. Nia is beautiful. She's kind. She has a husband who actually likes her. Yeah, I think they're just super, super jealous. And then for Janet to be like, oh, Nia only told the homeless story because, she didn't want to really address anything else going on and blah, 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 blah. No, Nia told you the homeless story to give you context to her personality. She's like, yeah, I look for gratitude. Yeah, I do things because I've had to be this way, and this is why. Versus Janet wants to make us believe the reason why she lost her mind was because all of a sudden her mother had a emotional reaction to Jasmine repeating a rumor that Jason takes his ring off. Oh, our kid could see this when Cameron grows up. What about Nia's children? Nia has 4 kids, 1 in her belly if she hasn't popped yet, and 3 kids. What about her children having to watch you and your husband and your little minions call their father an alcoholic and an addict? What about their children having to watch that? Did you think about their children before you said that, but you expect them to think about your child? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if there wasn't some truth to it, if there wasn't, again, like Drew said, a hit dog will holler. If there wasn't some truth to it, why are you guys so upset about it after the fact? Everybody else had put it to bed. Everybody else said, oh, it's a rumor we heard. We don't believe it. Okay, fine. It's over. Nobody else was talking about it but y'all. And Miss Janet, who beefed and bullied her own mother. Remember, Janet said that she got the primary bed at night because her mother was scared of her. She got the primary room over her parents. So you're telling me a mother who is so terrified of her own daughter that she let her and her husband be put out of their own room. All of a sudden now, her tears are shaking you so much to your core that you just have to go off on everybody. Your mother is scared of you because you're a bully and a punk. How dare you? I would rather sleep on the floor than put my mother out of her situation. Miss me with that, girl. Miss me with all of that. So let me see if there's anything else with these people. Da, da, da. I think that was it, you guys. That's kind of where I land with the Valley. Janet is awful. She can go. Jason, blink twice, homie. Blink twice if you're being held hostage. I want Jason to live his life and live his truth, whatever that may be. and be happy because he actually seems like a really good person. He seemed genuinely remorseful for going along with Janet's plan to take down Danny when he apologized. If I was Danny, I would never trust him again. But I do think that Jason only went after Danny because Janet told him what to say. Jason's not a good actor, so he was just like very nervous and just regurgitating everything. It was so clear. But a person who is that weak is also very dangerous. I don't like to hang around or befriend weak people because they're weak, meaning they will do anything somebody makes them do or tells them to do. They're a follower. So just because someone is weak doesn't mean they're not dangerous. Look what he did, you know? So I would miss me with Jason. Jax can go, Brittany can go, Kristen can stay, Luke can stay, Nia and Danny can stay. I love them. To be quite honest with you, Jasmine, I'm sorry, but you could go. Zach could stay. Jesse can stay and Michelle can go. That's kind of what I feel about it. But let me know what you guys think on that one. And as always, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I'll drop the link in case anybody wants to talk. But in the meantime, I will do your candy cane questions and comments. Okay. Okay, Patty says yes, the Valley. Woohoo! Mrs. says yes, watch the first episode of NYC. Okay, I will watch it. Adam says, other than Shannon, OC was a sleeping pill. I bet. Adam says, Janet gives off that obnoxious school principal energy. She needs to sit down and learn some social skills. I agree 100%. Janet she's cuckoo. She's scary. She's a scary individual. And there's also that Jasmine girl is sus to me. Jasmine, she only became sus to me when she was going after Danny so hard. Hold on. When she was going after Danny so hard, like, why? Made no sense. Speaking of, let's add in Sheena, Brock, and Lala. I don't know why they're there. Sheena looks like she's literally just happy to be there playing a part. Lala looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. She's checking her email. She's not engaging or talking. Brock also looks like he's just happy to be there. I don't know why they're there. Jason makes Jack look good. Hey, John. He's also, this is T. I know the quote boyfriend, and he's a huge grifter, scammer, and con artist. So if he's telling the truth, then that just shows their characters. Oop. Not the boyfriend. Yo, you need to spill the tea. Tate says, I'm enjoying the Valley. Sheena and Lala are Sheena and Lala. That part. Jasmine went off on Janet, and I like that. I did too. That's when I was kind of like, okay, fine, Jasmine, you can stay if you keep this energy when it is appropriate, you know? Tay says Janet had to be in Jasmine's ear when it came to Danny and Nia. 100%. Tay said, that's right, you guys. Thank you, Miss T. Hit that like and subscribe. All right. Tay says Jax is a monster. I agree. Adam says, tough question. Who out of these would be the worst to work for? Brittany, Janet, or Shamia? Oh, hell. No, none of them. No, Shamia is crazy. Janet isn't evil, and Brittany is also evil. So no. Adam says, to me, their house was out of their means. Definitely. I mean, to go from an $8,000 mortgage to an $18,000 mortgage, the math isn't mathing. Tata says, I choose Janet to be the worst to work for. Tata says, Michelle was doing way too much with Jesse. She even do a drink at him. Yeah, she was doing way too much. Way too much. It's like, girl, if you're so happy with Aaron and you're so out of it, then be happy with Aaron and be out of it. Like, stop. Adam says, Michelle, I'll trust as much as I could throw her. That part. Tata says, we didn't need Lauren from Utah to be Michelle's mouthpiece. I agree. That was also very weird. Like similar to what I said about Jasmine. If you have all of this trauma from Randall and everything with that, go to your therapist and work your stuff out. Don't, just because you are traumatized does not give you the right to then go and spew it on everybody else. Lala, everybody is not a narcissist, okay? Every guy is an a-hole, okay? Everybody isn't Randall, okay? Stop. It was too much. It was way too much. Adam says, I must admit, I was disappointed that Lala, the MVP, was Michelle's PR agent, right? It was crazy. Patty says, Brittany has brand deals. She does. She does. But again, how, I don't know. I just always feel like when people are like, mortgages, foreclosed, but we have 5 other rental properties that we're not using. What? You know what I mean? As Nia has 4 kids. Yeah, they have the eldest, and they have the 2 twins, and then she's preggers. So, yep, 4. Katie says, Nia and Danny just welcomed their 4th kid. Yeah. Patty says, I think they had to refinance to pay his taxes at a higher interest rate. And if their mortgage is for $2 million, 18 per month makes sense. Some of those brand deals are 6 figures. Adam says, I'm still skeptical about the Vanderpump revamp that is coming soon. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. You know, I'll check it out. So I'll check out the Vanderpump Rules revamp and then also Next Gen NYC. So as always, you guys, this was so much fun. Adam says Sheena and Lala being there is one thing, but Brock, I know. So that's right, you guys. Tonight was so much fun. We talked about Roa and also the Valley. And in case you guys missed it or came in later, I am going to be doing more pop culture, so not just reality TV, and also Lux Life, so like my skincare, beauty, hair care, all of that stuff. So if you have any recommendations or you have anything you want me to cover, definitely comment down below, and then you can shop all the stuff on my Amazon shop. Amazon.com/shop/Candy Washington's link down below. So everything that I post on there, I use, and I'll be doing videos on all of that, talking about pop culture review while I do my skincare or my makeup or something like that. So if you have any pop culture, I definitely want to do, I know people are probably really tired of it, but I never gave my conspiracy theory about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni and what I think actually happened. I haven't heard anybody have this theory, no one. So I think I'm going to do a skincare routine and tell my theory on that. So that's kind of what I want to do, pop culture, but make it Lux. So be sure to shop our vein down below. And if there's anything going on in pop culture, except for the Diddy trial, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. So anything other than that, let me know what you want me to cover, any of that. So Adam says, I'm still convinced he married for a green card. He married for a green card and to be on TV. Don't get it twisted. 100%. All right, you guys. I love you guys so much. Hope you had fun. And yeah, welcome back. Bye, guys.